An innocent man's first year out of prison in 2 decades has been spent trying to instill change. As Elizabeth Ruiz found, George Floyd's death is affecting him on a very personal level.
I've been home a year now after spending 21 years in prison for a murder that I did not commit.
The first time we met Terrence Lewis was a couple weeks after he had been released from prison. He had successfully proven his innocence, but 21 years of life were spent behind bars.
How does it feel knowing it's been a year since you were exonerated?
Sometimes it only seems like it's been only 3 weeks. Being in captivity for so long, for a crime that you didn't commit, and to be able to be free is breathtaking, to say the least. There will be no good having, bitterness or resentment or hanging on to anger and rage. So I channeled those frustrations or those emotions, and I used them as propane or, premium gas to do what one would consider righteous work.
In his process of reintegrating back into society, Terrence has been working to get bills passed in the state of Pennsylvania that would expunge records and compensate those wrongfully convicted.
One more. I'm proud of you. Good money.
He's also working at a homeless shelter. His love for supporting others is very clear. Among all these accomplishments in only 365 days, perhaps his greatest achievement, he says, is the creation of a nonprofit.
I have successfully launched the Terrence Lewis Liberation Foundation. The Liberation Foundation is dedicated to advocating for those who are wrongfully convicted and who do not have legal representation.
The Liberation Foundation is still in its early stages, but with the help from students at the University of Pennsylvania, they'll soon be helping people who say they were wrongfully convicted, but who don't have the resources to advocate on their own behalf. The Liberation Foundation is another nonprofit to add to the list of groups seeking justice for innocent people. The National Campaign for Fair Sentencing of Youth's primary goal is advocacy and legislative work to abolish life without possibility of parole sentencing for children across the nation. Terrence, who was 17 at the time of his arrest, was originally sentenced to life in prison without parole.
He's one of the more fortunate ones who was able to prove actual innocence and be fully exonerated.
Lateef says that's not the case for a majority of people in black communities.
Black folks black children in particularly are 3 times more likely to be sentenced to life without possibility of parole in the state of Pennsylvania. And actually across the nation, those numbers hold true as well.
According to the NAACP, black people are incarcerated at more than 5 times the rate of whites. He believes it has to do with the way people of color, especially young people, are viewed in the criminal justice system.
They characterize black youth as being super predators, as being immoral, as being monsters in some cases, and all of the descriptors that are used to dehumanize youth in a way that doesn't apply to their white counterpart.
Terrence says what happened to George Floyd hit him on a very personal level.
It's real. It's really, really real, because I've been there before, having my life taken from me, and I just think that, wow, what would be the next traffic stop or pull over for myself? Would my fate be like the fate of the late George Floyd?
Lateef and Terrence both agree the criminal justice system has a lot of work that needs to be done to assure people of color are treated fairly, work that requires commitment from everyone.
That shouldn't be the onus of black and brown people, but that's the onus of every American with a conscience.